Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. And Srimad Bhagavatam prayers. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. Shranvatam swakatha Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridayantasto hi bhadrani vidunoti shuhatsatam nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavate uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm seeking all of your blessings and praying that I may speak something that's beneficial for myself as well as everybody on the call. So let me share the verse. Oh, it's not showing me. Hold on. Prabhu, am I allowed to share? Right?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Oh, yeah, here I see it. Okay.
Yeah.
It didn't show up the first time, let's say. Okay. So let me just. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam 119:30. Sasamritastatra mahan mahiyasham brahmarshi rajarshi devarshi sangahe vyarocatalam bhagavan yathendur grahakshatara nikare paritaha. So one more time I'll recite. Sasamritastatra mahan mahiyasham brahmarshi rajarshi devarshi sangahe vyarocatalam bhagavan yathendur grahakshatara nikare paritaha. Word to word translation. Saha Shri Śukadeva Gosvāmī, Samvrata, surrounded by Tatra, there, Mahan, great, Mahi Yasham, of the greatest, Brahmarshi, saint among the Brahmanas, Rajarshi, saint among the kings, Devarshi, saint among the demigods, Sangahe, by the assembly of, Vyarochata, well-deserved, Alam, able, Bhagavan, powerful, Yatha, as, Induhu, the moon, Graha, planets, Raksha, heavenly bodies, Tara, stars, Nikarahe, the assembly of Paritaha, surrounded by. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Śukadeva Gosvāmī was then surrounded by saintly kings and demigods, just as the moon is surrounded by planets and other heavenly bodies. His presence was gorgeous and he was respected by all. Purport. In the great assembly of saintly personalities, there was Vyasadeva, the Brahmarshi, Narada, the Devarshi, Parshurama, the great ruler of the Kshatriya kings, etc. Some of them were powerful incarnations of the Lord. Śukadeva Gosvāmī was not known as Brahmarshi, Rajarshi, or Devarshi, nor was he an incarnation like Narada, Vyasa, or Parshurama, and yet he excelled them in respects paid. This means that the devotee of the Lord is more honored in the world than the Lord himself. One One should therefore never minimize the importance of a devotee like Śukadeva Goswami. So as we been hearing about this Maharaj Parikshit welcoming Śukadeva Goswami to the assembly of these great, as we're reading here, Brahmarshi, Rajarshi, Devarshi, all kinds of sages had surrounded Maharaj Parikshit. And when Śukadeva Goswami comes, he welcomes him, gives him, pays, yesterday we heard that he pays him a full dandavat, offering his body, words, and mind to, and approaching with full surrender to Śukadeva Goswami. So I was, as we know, that Śukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul from his very birth. And so I was thinking that what is the reason, or what was the story behind, like how did he become a liberated soul from being already in the womb of his mother? So there was this nice story that how he becomes liberated. It's I found it on a Skand Desire tree, and it's for the children's, but I thought it was nice, so I was just going to read that. So in his previous life, Śukadeva Goswami was a parrot, but he was not an ordinary parrot. He was the personal parrot of Srimati Radharani. He used to take messages from her to Krishna. When Srimati Radharani was about to leave this world back to the spiritual world, she told her parrot called Suka to stay here. But the parrot did not want to stay here without her. Then Srimati Radharani assured her, wherever the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Lord are being narrated, you will not feel separation from me. Thus, the parrot Suka started looking out for a place where Harikatha was going on. He finally reached Kailash, the place where Lord Shiva and Parvati lived. Lord Shiva was reciting Srimad Bhagavatam to Parvati. The parrot Suka hid himself in the green leaves of the tree under which Lord Shiva was sitting, and started hearing the nectarian pastimes of his beloved Lord. Lord Shiva was completely absorbed in reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Every few minutes, Parvati would make some sounds like so that Lord Shiva would know that she was still listening. However, after some time, she went to sleep and stopped making any sound. Then Suka, who was hiding behind the leaves, started making sound in the same way as Parvati. When the Srimad Bhagavatam was about to end, Parvati woke up. Lord Shiva wanted to know how she liked the narration. Parvati begged forgiveness from the Lord and admitted that she had gone off to sleep. Lord Shiva was amazed and asked her who was making that sound. When she said that she did not know, Lord Shiva started looking all around to see if someone was hiding and hearing these pastimes. He finally spotted the parrot hiding in the tree. Lord Shiva started thinking that the parrot was not qualified to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. If an unqualified person hears these transcendental narrations, there will be lots of disturbances. Therefore, he wanted to kill the parrot immediately. Lord Shiva took his trident and ran towards the parrot. Seeing Lord Shiva, Suka started flying away. Lord Shiva followed him. Finally, the parrot reached the hermitage of Srila Vyasadeva. Srila Vyasadeva was narrating Srimad Bhagavatam to his wife Bitika. While hearing, his wife yawned. At that point, the parrot entered into her open mouth. Lord Shiva also reached the hermitage. He inquired from Vyasadeva if he had seen the parrot. Lord Shiva narrated him the whole incident. Lord Shiva told Srila Vyasadeva that anyone who hears Srimad Bhagavatam gets free from the cycle of birth and death and becomes eternal. Srila Vyasadeva commented since the parrot had become eternal by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, he could not be killed. So Lord Shiva went away. The parrot Suka inside the body of Bitika took the form of a baby within her womb. However, he did not come out of the womb at the usual time. Instead of 9 months, he stayed in the womb for 16 years. This boy became as a famous Śukadeva Goswami. He was the one who narrated Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit. So this is the story how he had heard already Srimad Bhagavatam Śukadeva Goswami from Lord Shiva in the form of a parrot, and he became liberated. And Lord Shiva was chasing him. He went to Srila Vyasadev's hermitage and went inside his wife as she yawned. So this is how he was already, liberated when he entered the womb of his mother. So let's see, but and also this point about how Śukadeva Goswami is a parrot. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, this 1.1.3, which is the very famous verse where we hear in the translation, or we see in the translation how Prabhupada says that, "O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Śukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated soul." So what is the special about Śukadeva Goswami speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam of the Lord? What is it that I was thinking that, because even though Vyasadeva wrote it, speaking coming from him, how it is so relishable. And we heard from Premananda Mataji a couple of days ago on Saturday, how she was saying that in the purport of, I think 122, where Shaunaka Rishi is welcoming, and he's paying obeisances to Śukadeva Goswami. And in that, he says that he has this ability to enter the heart of a devotee. And here we also see that this representation, or as he's also considered, as we read, the parrot in Sanskrit, it says. So in Sanskrit, the parrot is also called suka. When a ripened fruit is cut by the red beaks of such birds, its sweet flavor is enhanced. The Vedic fruit, which is mature and ripe in knowledge, is spoken through the lips of Srila Śukadeva Goswami, who is compared to the parrot, not for his ability to recite the Bhagavatam exactly as he heard from his learned father, but for his ability to present the work in a manner that would appeal to all classes of men. So, parrot, as we usually know, that he can only repeat what he has heard. He would just mimic back whatever word he hears. But, that is not why Śukadeva Goswami is compared to a parrot, but rather his ability to present the work which appeals to all classes of men. It's not, as we know, that we're in Lord Chaitanya's movement, and which is open to all. It's not a sectarian movement. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is sharing this ripened fruit of all the Vedic knowledge, and it is open to everyone. Nobody's barred. And because this special ability of Śukadeva Goswami to enter devotee's heart, presented in a manner that appeals to all classes of men. So that's another point I want to bring out. And so when we also, as we saw that he was already liberated from his birth. So what was, what was it that he became attracted to this narration? So in 1.7.11, it tells us that Śukadeva Goswami, in the purport, Prabhupada describes, that according to Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Srila Śukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul even within the womb of his mother. Srila Vyasadeva knew that the child after his birth would not stay at home. Therefore, he, Vyasadeva, impressed upon him the synopsis of the Bhagavatam, so that the child could be made attached to the transcendental activities of the Lord. After his birth, the child was still more educated in the subject of the Bhagavatam by recitation of the actual poems. The idea is that generally the liberated souls are attached to the feature of impersonal Brahman with the monistic view of becoming one with the supreme whole. But by the association of pure devotees like Vyasadeva, even the liberated soul becomes attracted to the transcendental qualities of the Lord. By the mercy of Sri Narada, Srila Vyasadeva was able to narrate the great epic of Srimad Bhagavatam, and by the mercy of Vyasadeva, Srila Śukadeva Gosvāmī was able to grasp the import. The transcendental qualities of the Lord are so attractive that Srila Śukadeva Gosvāmī became detached from being completely absorbed in impersonal Brahman and positively took up the personal activity of the Lord. So as we hear that he became, he was from this that, we can see that how bhakti is so powerful. Krishna is all attractive. Krishna's transcendental activities, his name, his form, everything is so attractive that even a liberated soul like Śukadeva Gosvāmī is attracted to such narrations, and it emphasizes the power of bhakti, that how bhakti is more attractive than mukti. So it emphasizes the position of bhakti. And then this one last incident where it really shows exalted position of Śukadeva Gosvāmī was not only known to these great rishis and sages, but in one incident where even some women, they were able to see how exalted he was. So in one point, Srimad Bhagavatam 145, we have heard this narration that one day as Srila Vyasadeva was following his son, beautiful young damsels who were bathing naked covered their bodies with cloth. Although Sri Vyasadeva himself was not naked, but they had not done so when his son had passed. The sage inquired about this, and the young ladies replied that his son was purified, and when looking at them, made no distinction between male and female. But the sage made such distinctions. So in the purport, Prabhupada tells us that how a learned sage always looks at Brahmana, a Chandala, a dog eater, a dog, or a cow due to a spiritual vision. And these ladies, they made the distinction, and like just by looking at them, how would they know? So in this, where is it? Right here. It says that Śukadeva Gosvāmī, he was transcendental to sex relation. He appeared very innocent. The ladies, by their special qualification, could sense this at once. And therefore, they were not very concerned about him. So somehow these ladies, they had the special qualifications to see the exalted position of Śukadeva Gosvāmī, and they could understand that he made no distinction. He really had the spiritual vision. Whereas Vyasadeva, because he was a householder, he made such distinction because that is the nature in the ashram that he was in. So as these, similarly in this verse, it's describing how all the sages, even he had heard, Śukadeva Gosvāmī had heard Srimad Bhagavatam from his father, and he was also in the assembly, and how he had this special qualifications, which was recognized by everybody, and they offered him this exalted place to narrate Srimad Bhagavatam. And how in the translation it says that he was like the moon surrounded by stars. So we can see when there is moon in the sky, it doesn't need an introduction. We can see that how bright it is, how shine it is, and all the stars can be around it, but moon always stands out. So similarly, Śukadeva Gosvāmī stood out in this assembly of all the sages, because of his special exalted position. So I'll just summarize in just a couple of minutes that we started by reading the verse, and then we narrated the story how Śukadeva Gosvāmī becomes a liberated soul from the beginning by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Lord Shiva. Then we also saw there's a special qualification to narrate Srimad Bhagavatam, his ability to enter devotee's heart, and how he makes this narration so appealing and perfect, so it can attract all classes of men. Nobody is left out. Everybody's welcome to come and hear this narration. And then we emphasized how he became attracted to this narration, and even though he was liberated, the power of bhakti is greater than somebody wanting a mukti. It can even attract a liberated soul like Śukadeva Gosvāmī. And then lastly, we saw how the ladies who had covered themselves when Vyasadeva came, but through their special qualification, they could see the exalted position of Śukadeva Gosvāmī. And similarly, as everybody who was assembled in the assembly to where Maharaj Parikshit was getting ready, he had 7 days to leave his body, and they all looked at him. He looked like a moon amongst the stars. He stood out for being the best among them. So that's what I have prepared for today, devotees. I will stop here and see if there is any correction, any additional point, if anybody would like to add, or any discussion points. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Govinda mathaji. Thank you. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj. La Prabhupada.
Mine too. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada.
Just want to appreciate how nice your presentation, especially the Śukadeva Goswami's appearance past time. It's always sweet how many times ever we hear it. And you have nicely brought out his special characteristics, and from the first canto. Thank you very much for the nice class. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Okay.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. It was a nice presentation, as Sandhya Mataji said. So one quick question regarding the Śukadeva Goswami's exalted position. So he was the associate of Radharani, right? Then we hear sometimes about this Brahmavadi realization as well, right? So maybe what is the correlation, Mataji, between those two? I know he was a devotee already before he even heard that from Lord Shiva, right? He was associate of Lord Radharani. So from that way.
Yeah, I was also kind of thinking along those lines, Prabhu, that if he was already an associate of Radharani, that means he was, already kind of like an eternal associate of her. But I think it's he was, her parents, possibly. I don't know a connection as per fully, but I don't know if he was already like her, coming with her from the spiritual world, and he was an eternal associate. And then how then does he become like liberated, right? Like a liberated soul. So I also don't know. I was thinking about it too when I read the story, that if he was already, then how did he become, like a Brahmavadi? So I don't know. If anybody else knows the connection, please share.
I thought, being liberated means, I mean, in Śukadeva Goswami's context, he is a personal associate. So I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard of a Brahmavadi a previous, existence of him. Whereas we know Uddhava's pastimes. Uddhava was Brahman realized, and then he became a devotee because he came into contact with the gopis. But as far as I mean, I have not so far heard about Sukadeva Goswami having an impersonal history. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
I don't recollect Mataji where it is. Maybe I'll try to find out. I know I heard somewhere or many times.
I mean, eternal associates of the Lord are always liberated.
Yeah, that's right. So it would be, but yeah, that is the confusion it is. I mean,
Okay.
the other day, same story was narrated by Kanakabja Prabhu also, but I couldn't ask him also. It was nice.
Because I mean, I was just thinking when we just say they were liberated, then he became attracted to these narrations. So yeah, just that connection, I'm also not very clear.
Because we hear sometimes, I mean, I know from this story we know about his fast, right, from Lord Shiva, Lord Radharani. But even I think after hearing from Vyasadeva, he became a pure devotee. Something like that also, I think it is there. Maybe I don't know if in this chapter.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. Okay, Prabhu, if nothing else is there, we can end here.
Okay.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki